With so many people simply misunderstanding the exact journey XRP is on and why this will be one of the top leading cryptocurrencies not only in the world of decentralized finance but traditional finance as well. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the new upgrades to XRPL and why this is important for the banks and financial markets, as well as taking a look at a new SEC task force and how this could directly affect the price of XRP. So if you are bullish on XRP and you want to stay up to date with everything, hit that subscribe button. So many of you do not hit the subscribe button, and don't forget, click that notification bell and make sure it says all. That way you're updated with all our latest content, posts, and our live streams every day, keeping you dialed into this market. So with that being said, let's get into this video. So I want to start here at the SEC, and I'm going to link it directly into XRP, and then we're going to get into this whole XRPL upgrade, which is really, really important when you understand the journey in which we're on and how XRP truly transforms into, well, not just a top cryptocurrency, but equally moves into the traditional finance market. So the SEC announced the formation of a cross-border task force to combat fraud. Now, this is a very interesting decision. This is basically going after pump and dumpers, ramp and dump schemes, basically the pump fund, bonk fund, all of those of the world where, well, let's just say people come to get money rather than build money. And I think they're important to think about. So the cross-border task force will focus initially on investigating potential US federal securities laws violation related to foreign-based companies, including potential market manipulation, such as pump and dump and ramp and dump schemes. And the task force will also focus on enforcement efforts to gatekeep particular auditors and underwriters. So this could shift the whole narrative of the market. Regulation as well as infrastructure is coming, and guess what is already there? That's right, XRP already has all of this. In fact, banking grade infrastructure and security is already there. We welcome companies from around the world seeking access to the US capital markets, said SEC Chair Paul S. Atkins. So the reality is Paul's been very bullish on the crypto markets, very optimistic in terms of regulation and how they build out traditional capital markets. Think about the stock markets, think about the NASDAQ and all those, and how they are, well, generally treated by the SEC. That's why I think this is going to be a shift. And once again, why I think XRP is going to have a pretty big run. Why? Because the reality is eventually people will simply not be able to buy pump and dump meme coins. They're going to be able to buy the worst coins on the planet. They're going to have to come into truly decentralization and, more importantly, those coins that, well, can link back to RWA tokenization and basically support what people want to do. So with that said, with all of that excitement with XRP, you need a pretty good place to run it on. That's where XRP Ledger comes in. Remember, I've been talking about XRP Ledger for the longest time, and I said that it would become a pivotal part of how XRP truly bridges itself from a basic standard altcoin into something that, well, the globe is going to use. And some of the key things to think about are just the timelines of what XRP Ledger has done, from launching back in 2013 by Ripple and then originally OpenCoin, founded by Chris Larsen and Jed McCaleb. It was all about not replacing traditional banking, but offering a faster, cheaper, and more easy to use solution using a permissioned consensus mode, and it found strong product market fit in the cross-border payment sector, which we've talked about for a while. Now, where this becomes interesting is how they've continued to develop XRPL and why, therefore, this becomes a really important part of how XRP builds out, namely this. And today they switched on something called credentials, and it's a big deal. This is the credentials amendment. And ultimately what it means is that the first time ever, and I think maybe in the history of any kind of chain, that KYC and AML compliance tools are actually integrated into the XRP itself. Now, this isn't through some clunky DeFi app or some other third-party company that have built it and launched it on the XRPL. This is fundamentally within the chain itself. KYC and AML are going to be in there. Institutions don't necessarily need quick speed. They just need the ability to basically transfer huge amounts of money under regulatory grade compliance and basically backed into the systems that they use. So how do you get into banking systems given that the entire global economy sits within them? Well, at least 93% that those aren't invested in Bitcoin. Well, you have to have pretty good grade technology and you have to have seamless integration. Otherwise, the banks simply won't be interested. And this is where XRP comes in. The amendment now turns XRPL into a ready-to-go settlement rail for banks, fintech, and onto enterprises who previously hesitated due to compliance gaps. It's a big deal. And it's another big tick in the box as XRPL now bridges that gap between DeFi and TradFi. And don't just believe my words. Let's listen to Bitwise and the statement they put in specifically relating to XRP today. It says here, the 5 flagship products that we are now listing in Switzerland will expand options for investors looking to tap into the full potential of the cryptocurrency markets. That was Ronald Richter there, the Regional Director of Investment Strategy for Europe at Bitwise. He says Europe is rapidly opening up its digital assets and Switzerland is a leading important market in the heart of the continent. This relates to these key things: a Bitwise Ethereum staking ETP, as well as a core Bitcoin ETP, and more importantly, guess what? A physical XRP ETP fully backed by digital assets and integrated into traditional brokerage portfolios. It's pretty big news. So you have all of this regulation at one side, you've got all of this kind of FOMO from banks, which I never thought we'd talk about, and more importantly, fintech and etc. And then you have on the other side, truly decentralization under a very solid regulatory and backed infrastructure, which is basically what the XRPL delivers. All rolled up feels like a very bullish momentum and feels like Ripple is doing exactly what it said it was going to do: deliver cross-border payments, and within that, both XRP and RLUSD will form a key part of it. Oh, and by the way, they're getting a banking license, which I'm sure facilitates even more. So the reality is XRP feels like it's in a very solid place. If you take a look at some of the fundamentals on price action, well, look, we're in yet again another very interesting potential bull flag for XRP to break out. And more importantly, following that very traditional pattern that we see there with XRP. So the time is coming, I think, for a move from more speculative risk on assets into core big DeFi and TradFi players. And I think XRP ticks every single box, backed obviously by Ripple, the native company. So with all that being said, let me know what you think of all that in the comments down below. Switzerland going big on XRP ETPs, as well as XRPL truly bridging that gap into the banking world. And it's only a matter of time before the headline reads, the banks bought XRP. Let me know what you think, as always, in the comments down below. And again, don't forget, turn those notification bells to all. That way you're updated and notified when our latest content all about XRP and everything else in the crypto market goes live. Till next time, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.